There's been a lot of news lately about where the real estate market is going and what's going to happen to the economy. We've got talks of interest rates rising.
In breaking news, the Reserve Bank has increased the cash rate by 25 basis points, taking it to 4.1%.
Petrol prices are going up. We've had the war in the Middle East that's affecting everything.
Bomb blasts across Beirut, reverberating right around Lebanon. Its deadliest strike yet, but it's now threatening to shatter the peace between the US and Iran.
And a lot of people are asking the question, what is going to happen to Australian property in the coming months and years ahead of us? Now, while some markets are actually heading for a slowdown, potentially even a mini downturn, other markets are still rising, and there is still real opportunities in the real estate market to actually make some really good profits in the coming months and years ahead. While most people are kind of becoming hesitant and not wanting to invest, right, there are opportunities in the right areas, in the right types of properties to be had. Now, as interest rates rise, of course, the number one concern of yours should be, what is the income I'm going to be getting out of the property? Because as long as you've got positive cash flow and good income coming in, the capital growth is going to take care of itself. That's why looking for properties with high returns is going to become absolutely essential in the coming months and years ahead. And yes, the markets will be affected to some degree. You know, the petrol prices, the cost of living, the looming recession or depression that is being projected in some, media. And of course, media jumps onto this and they always give you the negative, like during COVID. Most people during and after COVID said property is dead, no one's renting, and suddenly prices just shot up dramatically. And this is going to be the same thing in this particular situation. Right? What I'm saying is that right now is the time to be looking for high income producing properties. That's where I'm switching all my investment assets and activity into. Right? What you'll find is that as long as you got good income coming in, you cannot go wrong with that property. Because whilst positive cash flow, is predictable because you know the rent that you're going to get, what's unpredictable is the capital growth you're going to get. And yes, there has been times when property prices have dipped or stayed stable for quite a long periods of time. Even in some of these hottest markets today, like Perth, Brisbane, right? Everyone that's invested in there in the last sort of 4 years ago thinks that they're investing genius, right? Anyone that's invested in property in the last 2 or 3 years in Australia thinks they're investing genius. But that is all going to change with these changes in the world. So you've got to become much smarter in not only where, but also what types of properties you are investing into. And most of the property spruikers out there will actually tell you to invest in the normal house and land on the outskirts of the big cities, where obviously the demand is still going to be there because our population is still rising, right? And we don't have enough houses. So that pressure on rents and on accommodation is still going to be there in the coming years.
Housing is one of the biggest issues facing Australians today. Prices have surged, supply can't keep up, and the system is under real strain.
However, where you can really get ahead of the rest of the investment crowd is that you should be looking for properties that are giving you that cash flow and income. And certainly in the past, I've looked at commercial, I've looked at all types of investments, but the best ones are these multi-income rooming, co-living properties that I've been talking to you about on other videos, right? And also, right, there is ways of making your properties much more profitable, and I'll talk about that in another video, on how you can get much higher rents for your properties, right? And how to also have your property sell for a lot more money when you're trying to sell them. Because there's things you can do within the property that'll set it above everybody else that's in the marketplace. We've been getting rents of $100 to $200 a room higher than anybody else in the marketplace for what is virtually the same space, but it's what we've put into it. And you got to watch my other video on how you can increase your rent by $100 or $200 a week, even on a hotel room type studio, the smallest studio rent, that you can rent out there. Obviously, bigger properties have, different rentals. But if you're looking for the most highest return properties, then these are some of the things you can do to increase your income. Now, as I said, so the market at the moment is still driven by increase in population, not enough housing, and rents are still, not affordable for most people, but they are still rising because we've got this shortage of accommodation. And when there's a shortage, then people obviously bid for the properties that are available and higher prices are achieved. That's why some of the regional markets are especially good at this time, because the lower end of the property market is where it's going to be the best opportunities moving forward. The top end of the market is probably going to drop slightly. So the suburbs like in Sydney and in Brisbane, the top end market where $3 million, $2-3 million plus properties, you might not see the same levels of growth. However, the bottom end of the market, which is much more affordable, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking for affordability and returns. If you're an investor, you want affordable and high returns, high capital growth. If you're a first home buyer, you're looking for affordable, right? If you're if you're just a downsizer, again, you're looking at things that you can afford, but also things that can get you potentially an income. So those are the types of properties you should be specializing in, and those are the types of properties that we're certainly going to be focusing on in the next 6 to 12 months, while everybody else in the marketplace is running scared for the hills. This is the times when the smart investors actually make some money. So follow my videos, watch what we're releasing, watch some of the properties that I've invested in, watch my other videos on how to get higher yields from your properties, the ones you've already got or the ones you're going to buy, and you cannot go wrong in real estate. Remember, Australian property has been going up for the last 70, 80 years pretty consistently. Nothing's going to change, right? We are the lucky country. With this war, more people are going to want to move into Australia, right? Because it's a safe country, right? We're away from all that rubbish that's happening in the Middle East and in Europe. This will cause more people to want to move into Australia, and property prices will rise as a result. So I hope that's been helpful. Make sure that you subscribe, join my YouTube channel, or give me a call if you want more information on what we've got at the moment, which types of properties we're investing in. And I'd love to have a chat with you. And let's make 2026 and 2027 the best investing years of your life. Give us a call. I'll talk to you then.